Okay, if you thought Box Boy was good, then you're gonna love the sequel. It's Box Boy for Nintendo 3DS. So with such a great title like Box Boy, how could they make it any better in Box Boy? Well, they made it better in a lot of ways. Some of those ways I wish would have been in the sequel and vice versa. So the really cool thing about Box Boy is it has this really cool new mechanic that has box limit 2 sets of 2, 2 sets of 4, etc. So instead of just doing 1 row of boxes, you can now do 2 rows. And that's something I highly enjoyed in the sequel, Box Boy. And when I moved on to Box Boy, the first game, because I didn't know there was a first game, I was disappointed to see that that mechanic wasn't used in Box Boy. So Box Boy has a lot of cool things, but it also has some things I really don't like in terms of costumes. Now that might be a little nitpick area, but with costumes, unless you bought the first Box Boy game, you don't get any of those cool costumes from the first game. You have to buy the first game in order to keep the costumes, which is kind of weird, and I didn't like that, but it's okay. But the problem is you don't really have a lot of costumes in the sequel Box Boy. But in terms of gameplay, what's new about it? New mechanics, some new costumes, new stages, new worlds, pretty much new everything. I mean, they really switched it up. Not terribly much. I mean, it's not something that's like, oh my gosh, like they switched it, I can't play it anymore. It's such a good game, and I highly would recommend Box Boy to anyone. I know Box Boy was a great game, but Box Boy I feel is just a little bit better. Because I just love that 2 sets of 3 mechanic. It's just a great idea. And as I said, I wish it was implemented in the first game, but it wasn't. But that's okay too. But Box Boy, if you thought the first one was challenging, then trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet, because Box Boy is even more challenging. It is a very intense game. It's sometimes you'll just be sitting here stuck. And if you're not like me, who doesn't carry their 3DS around all day, then you would know that you're not able to use hints. Because if you have 10 play coins, you can turn in a hint, those for a hint, and then it'll show you how to do the level. But if you're like me, who doesn't have those, then you're kind of stuck in either you go to YouTube or you just don't do it at all. But Box Boy is a title I would heavily recommend. It's such a good game, people. I really love it. I know I've said it countless times, but it's a game to really love. And they're making a 3rd game in 2017. It's going to be in Japan first, but I think it is such a great idea. I cannot wait for the sequel. And trust me when I say this, you're going to want to buy this game because it's so good. If you played the first Box Boy and loved it, then you're certainly going to love this game. It brings new mechanics, new really everything. And in terms of challenges, you remember how you had to buy them? Well, they just give it to you in a new challenge world. So I think that's cool. The challenges are pretty much the same like in the first Box Boy. So that's kind of a downer, but it is really cool still to see those challenges. And, in case, you're just really stuck, don't really want to do anything right now. Those are really cool challenges to do because I love, trying, to do the times and all that. And it's just really a great game. It is very well made. HAL Laboratories, as I said, always does a great job. I just can't stress enough of how good this game really is. I know I'm probably not giving it the justice that it needs or deserves, but trust me when I say that this is a purchase you're not going to regret. It's Box Boy for Nintendo 3DS.